This is episode 9 of the ongoing pseudocode series, and in this episode we are going to be looking at constants. So the opposite of variables are constants, and constants are essentially those values that are going to remain unchanged for the entire lifetime of a program. So just like variables, constants also need to have an identifier, and the only difference is that when you define a constant, instead of having to initialize it later on, you have to initialize it instantly. So let's go ahead and look at an example. So you want to declare a constant called company name. Then what we can do with the constant, you can actually make use of an equal sign, and let's say our company is called Acme Industries. That's the company name. Alternatively, what you can do is you can make use of the left arrow. So depending on the situation, or depending on whatever convention you are using, both of them, they are valid. So let me just put a comment down there to say that this is also valid. This is also valid, and that is using a left arrow. It's also valid. Then maybe what I should do here, instead of having company name, what I can do is to have a variable called pi, maybe. Then change the value right here to something like 3.15 or 1415, just like that. So both conventions are valid for declaring variables or constants, rather, not variables but constants for your program. The only thing that you need to remember is that after using the constant keyword, you actually need to initialize the value immediately, because with constants, the value that you give is not going to change for the entire lifetime of the program. So you declare and initialize it there and there. Then as the program progresses, it's actually going to remain constant. It's actually in the name, as it were. Then maybe just to add on to the previous episode where we talked about variables, this one right here, we did see that when you declare a variable, you can actually initialize the variable, as it were. So another thing that you also need to remember is that, maybe let me just come to this constants file. What you can actually do is to, let's say I declare a variable called price is a real. Then I also want to have another variable called discount. Declare discount as a real as well, right? So notice that I have two variables of the same type right here. So instead of having them span several lines, what I can actually do is to have this discount variable declared in the same line as the price variable. So that is just a comma separated list of identifiers, because since I want to declare them as of the same type, I can actually have more variables of the same type coming all the way, coming right here, if they are going to have the same type. Then that's one thing that I wanted to point out. I usually call this wholesale declaration. Now it's important to realize that this convention is only valid for declaration, so you cannot do this for assignments. Then assignments can also work with expressions. So like, for instance, let's say I wanted to override the old price with a new price. What I would actually do is to initialize price plus maybe let's say 19 So this would actually initialize, actually since price doesn't have an initial value, let's initialize price right here. So let's say the current price is something like 5 point, or rather 3.5, right? Then let's say we wanted to increase the price by maybe, let's say 1.9. All right, so we would actually do this. So initially this would actually evaluate this expression that is on the right and store it as the new value for price. So you can also have an expression that evaluates to a value, and that value is going to be stored as the new price, as it were. So it works with literals, and it can also work with other variables, like maybe let's say we had a price of discount as 1.1, right? So what you can actually go ahead and do right here is to overwrite the old price with the price plus, or rather minus, the discount. So here what we are doing is the same thing actually, right? Discount is 1.1, then price, since we did assigned price is 3.5 plus 1.9, right? That would be the new price. So we are now saying price minus discount. So essentially this is the same thing. The only difference is that in the first instance we are working with a literal. In this instance we are working with a variable, or with two variables rather, as it were, then storing those variables that are going to evaluate to a value, then you store that as the new value for price. So yeah, I think this is what I wanted to point out with variables, that you can actually assign values that evaluate to an expression, expressions rather, that evaluate to a value, then you can store that new value inside of the variable name that you would want to override. So yeah, that's just about it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.